My dad came home from work at 6:12 p.m. I'm positive about the time because he came home again at 6:47. And the first one was still upstairs. I was 16, home alone after school. At 6:12, I heard the front door open. My dad walked in like always, keys on the table, shoes by the wall. He nodded at me but didn't say much, just went straight to the kitchen. I remember thinking he looked exhausted. He poured himself a glass of water and stood there staring at the sink for a long time. I asked how work was. He paused for a second too long, then said flatly, "Work was work." Same tone, no emotion, like he'd copied the sentence from somewhere. After that, he went upstairs. I heard his bedroom door close. At 6:47, I heard the front door open again. I thought maybe I imagined it, but then I heard my dad's voice call out, "I'm home." I felt cold all over, because he was already upstairs. The man downstairs sounded normal. Tired, but normal. He walked into the living room and looked at me. "Hey, kiddo," he said. "You eat yet?" That was something he always said. Something he hadn't said earlier. I asked quietly, "Did you just get here?" He nodded. Traffic was awful. We both heard it then. Footsteps upstairs. Slow. Heavy. Walking toward the top of the stairs. My dad looked confused. "Who's up there?" he asked. I couldn't answer, because we both knew. The footsteps stopped right above us. Then we heard his voice, perfectly clear, calling down the hallway, "I'm home!" My dad grabbed my arm and whispered, "Don't look up." We left the house and waited in the car until the police arrived. They searched everything, found nothing. No signs of entry, no one inside. But sometimes when my dad comes home now, he still hesitates before opening the door, like he's listening first, to make sure he isn't already inside. The first sign that something was wrong was when my brother answered my question before I even opened my mouth. We were miles from anyone, trapped in a cabin, and I realized the person sitting across from me wasn't my brother. He was reading my mind. We were staying at our dad's cabin for the weekend. No neighbors, no signal, just forest and snow. It was supposed to be a quiet trip, board games, movies, cheap food. On the second night, the power went out. The whole place dropped into darkness. We lit candles and split up to grab flashlights. I went upstairs. My brother went to the basement. While I was searching drawers, I heard him call from below. "Did you find the spare batteries?" I answered, "Not yet." He said, "Check the desk by the window." I froze, because I hadn't spoken yet. I walked to the top of the stairs. "Did you just talk to me?" I asked. He replied immediately, "Yeah, you said you couldn't find them." But I hadn't. Not a word. When he came upstairs, he looked normal. Same clothes, same voice. But something felt off. He kept responding to things I was only thinking. I'd look at the fridge. He'd say, "There's no soda left." I'd glance at the door. He'd say, "No, I locked it." It was like he was one step ahead of everything I did. Later that night, I went outside to grab firewood. The snow was fresh, untouched, except for one thing. There were 2 sets of footprints leading from the cabin into the trees. Only one set came back. I ran inside and locked the door. My brother was sitting at the table, calm, quiet, watching me. Then he said, "You saw them, didn't you?" I asked, "Saw what?" He tilted his head. "The other you." I didn't sleep that night. At dawn, I packed my bag and left. I never told him why. But sometimes I still think about that cabin. Because before I drove away, I looked back once. And through the window, I saw 2 of him watching me leave. There were 5 of us on that trip. We checked the booking twice. We counted our sleeping bags. So I don't know why. At 2 a.m., in the middle of a blackout, we counted 6. We rented a cabin for a weekend hiking trip. 5 friends from college. Middle of nowhere, no reception. The first night was normal. Pizza, cards, stupid stories. Around midnight, we all crashed in the living room. Sleeping bags everywhere, fireplace dying down. I woke up sometime later to the sound of whispering. 2 of my friends were sitting up, talking quietly. I asked what was going on. One of them said, "Someone keeps walking past the window." We all checked. Nothing outside but trees. When we settled back down, I noticed someone I didn't recognize lying near the couch. I assumed it was just one of the others in a hoodie. At 2 a.m., someone suggested we count heads, joking about horror movies. So we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then someone said, "Wait, count again." We counted slower this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nobody spoke. We all just stared at each other, trying to figure out who was extra. The person in the hoodie sat up slowly, face in shadow. Then it said calmly, "You forgot to count me earlier." One of my friends whispered, "Who are you here with?" The thing tilted its head. "With you." Its voice sounded almost right, but not tied to anyone, like it had practiced from listening. We told it to leave. It didn't move. Instead, it pointed at each of us one by one. "I can be him," it said. Then pointed to another, or her. Then it looked straight at me. "Or you." That's when we ran. All 5 of us bolted outside into the snow. We drove back to town before sunrise. Didn't say a word the whole way. When we finally stopped for gas, we all just sat there in silence. Because none of us wanted to be the one to suggest counting again. I didn't realize something was pretending to be me until my mother thanked me for coming home early that night. I hadn't been home at all. This happened last winter. I was staying late at work, covering a double shift. Around 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message from my mom. "Thanks for coming by. You looked tired." I thought she meant earlier that morning. So I replied, "I didn't come by today." She didn't answer. When I got home, the porch light was on. She never leaves it on. Inside, she looked relieved to see me. "Back again?" she asked. I laughed. "What do you mean, again?" She told me I had stopped by around 7. Walked in quietly. went straight to the kitchen, didn't say much. She said I sounded sick, slow, like I was repeating sentences. And when she hugged me, I didn't hug back. I checked the security camera app on my phone. At 7:02 p.m., someone unlocked the door. It was me. Same jacket, same backpack, same walk. But something felt wrong. I watched the clip 3 times before I noticed it. The thing on the video never blinked. Mom said it stayed for maybe 10 minutes. Just walked around the kitchen, opened cabinets, touched things. Then it stopped by the hallway mirror and stared at itself. She said it whispered something like it was practicing. Not words, just sounds. Like someone trying to learn how to talk. At 9:34 p.m., we heard the front door handle move. Slowly. Like someone trying the lock. Mom froze. I checked the camera again. The porch was empty. But the motion alert kept triggering, over and over. Something was there, just too close to the door for the camera to see. Then we heard it. My voice, from outside. "Mom, I forgot my charger." We didn't open the door. We stayed silent for maybe 20 minutes. Eventually, the footsteps faded. No knocking, no yelling. Just silence. But sometimes when I get home now, the house smells like someone has already been inside. And every once in a while, my mom asks why I keep leaving the front door unlocked. I thought the worst part of my night was picking up a hitchhiker at 1 a.m. It wasn't. The worst part was getting a text from my girlfriend while she was sitting in the back seat of my car. This happened last fall during a long overnight drive. Just me and my girlfriend heading home from a concert. Empty highway, no streetlights, nothing but trees and fog. Around midnight, she said she needed to use the bathroom, so I pulled over at a closed gas station. She went behind the building. I stayed in the car. 2 minutes later, she got back in. Didn't say a word. Just shut the door and buckled up. We drove for maybe 10 minutes before I noticed it. She hadn't turned on her seat heater. She always complains about being cold. I joked, "You okay back there?" She answered quietly, "Yeah, just tired." Back there, not next to me. I glanced at the passenger seat. Empty. Slowly, I looked in the rearview mirror. She was sitting directly behind me, staring forward, hands folded in her lap. She hadn't moved when she got in, hadn't spoken, hadn't leaned forward, just appeared in the back seat. I asked why she was sitting back there. She replied instantly, "You told me to." I hadn't. Her voice sounded right, but wrong at the same time, like someone repeating a recording. My phone buzzed. A text from her, from outside the car. Doors locked. "Did you fall asleep?" I nearly drove off the road. I slammed the brakes and turned around. The girl in the back seat didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. I opened my door and ran. She was standing near the gas station waving, real, shaking, confused. "Why did you leave me?" she asked. I grabbed her hand and pulled her into the car. Then we both froze, because the rear door slowly clicked open. and something stepped out behind us. Same height, same jacket, same voice. It said softly, "You forgot me." We drove away without looking back. Didn't speak for the rest of the night. But sometimes when we're driving late, I still check the rearview mirror, because every now and then, I swear I see someone sitting there, perfectly still, waiting for us to notice.